Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be making a shaker card, and these are all the things that I'm going to use for making the shaker card. I'm going to use an 8 by 8 card. These are ready-made by Do Crafts, and it comes with an envelope. So we're going to use that for our base card. The other thing that we're going to use is the Fairy Tales papers. I have the 12 by 12 and the 6 by 6. And the 12 by 12 is going to be made for the main part of the shaker, and the 6 by 6 I'll use for the inside, for the double part of the shaker. The pages that I'm going to use in this one are this lovely fairy one, and this will be for the bigger circle. And then for the inner circle I'm going to use this one here, and it's got a shine or a sheen to it. Don't know if the camera is picking that up. Now I have you guys zoomed out at the moment, and I will zoom you in a little bit more when we get making, but I just wanted to show you all the things that I have here that's going to go into the shaker card. You can actually see some of the images that I have here, and these the little angel or fairy is cut out from the paper, and what I've actually done is I've cut out many of the layers, so she's like a decoupage. Now I do have the decoupage for the Fairy Tales, but I just thought this would be so cute, and I've even done the little butterfly as well, and I've cut that out. I've just put a tiny bit of foam tape on the back of that. Then I have fussy cut out these flowers from the paper, and using the scraps of paper I've used punches and dies to cut out the little flowers and the butterflies. And these flowers that I have, they're a ready-made flower, but as you can just see there on the back, I've used one of these flowers that I've punched out for the back of it to tie them together. And with these little flowers that I've punched out, I've put little pearls, different coloured pearls inside those. So these are what I'm going to use to embellish the shaker card. So sorry about the head getting in the way there. Right, so using the papers, what we're going to need is some acetate, and I have the Crafter's Companion acetate here that I use. I've also gone into my local art shop, and they have big sheets. It's literally an A1 size, and I know you can't really see the acetate here, but this acetate is so much thicker. It's a really strong acetate compared to the one. This one is a much lighter acetate that comes with the Crafter's Companion. Now either is perfect. I know some crafters, they keep their packaging and they use that. So, you know, whatever you have on hand will be perfect. Also what I'm going to use, now I know that one of the people I watched doing this shaker card, that would be Sam from Mixed Up Crafts, she uses this little doodah here. And it's by X-Cut, and you can do any size circle that you want. They are, is my camera going to zoom in? Probably not. But they do all different, they do inches and centimeters on this one. So you can extend out, but I kind of struggled to use this to cut through my cardstock. It would go through one layer, and sometimes it was kind of hit and miss on the second layer. So I found that instead of using this, which could work perfectly, I think it was user error, to be honest. What I've used is my dies, and these dies I got online. They're just a generic stitched die. When you use the die, it stitches the paper left over and it puts these stitch marks on the inner circle that you'll want to use. So I've used the biggest one in this, and different ones, I mean, you can do your shaker circles whatever size you want, but that's what I used for this, was those. I also I got this lovely little mini die and butterfly. I used the butterfly for my embellishments over there, and I've also cut out On Your Day. You can just see them over here. I have them all ready to go. I've done them in kind of a rose gold. Oops, can you see that? Rose gold. And I've also done them in white. So I wasn't kind of sure whether I wanted to do it in the white or in a colour. So I thought, you know what, I'll give myself options. Also, I've used this, it's a Crafter's Companion die, a metal die set, and I've used the Happy Birthday from this. There's a beautiful butterfly in there as well, but it's very big and I felt that was too big for the shaker card. These are butterflies that I got in the range, or not the range, the Works. And we don't have the Works really here in Ireland. I think there's one in Cork and maybe one or two up in Dublin, but I was in Banbridge in Northern Ireland visiting my lovely sister-in-law Amanda. Hi Amanda, if you're watching. And they have a Works there, and I tell you, I shopped till I dropped, but I got these in there, and I've used this butterfly here, but these are lovely. And the Works is brilliant. You can shop online there as well. Yeah, so I think that's everything more or less that I use, the papers and the dies, etc. The only other thing that I wanted to show you was I have the big roll of 3M Scotch tape, this one here. And what I do when I'm doing shaker cards, this is just a single layer. I tend to stick mine over like that. I also have a little lid of a jar here. Any little teeny tiny bits, I put them all in there, because you know what, you'll never know when you need a tiny little bit. So what I do with this is I take a big roll of it off, I fold it over on itself like that and press it down, and that'll give me a nice fat wedge. And I tend to do it in long strips, and then I'll take my scissors and I will just cut up along it like so, and cut the whole way up along, and it'll give me lovely little layered strips, all different sizes, or however fat or however skinny I want them. And I find this really works well with those. And what I tend to do is, when you're doing the circle, I'll show you, if you pull off both sides, it will actually curve around. It's the release paper here that will stop your foam from curving and taking the shape of whatever you want. So that's what I'll be using, and I have a couple of strips here, as you can see to the side. I have my red strong tape ready to go, and all my little shaker bits are here, as well as my roll of tape. Now the shaker bits I did show you in a haul that I got, and they were the little unicorns. They're a set. It comes, you get the 3 of these in the set, very reasonable from the range. And I've also got in there my little fairies from the fairy tales in the bowl. The other thing that I have in here is some hearts, and these are very like the fairies and the unicorns. I got this little, this is what I got, and I got that in my local deals here in Ireland. And they also did them in a fabulous red. But Deals in Ireland is, I think, owned by Poundland over in the UK, and they're not online, but they're lovely, and I'm just sorry I didn't pick up about 400 tubs of these, because they're lovely little love hearts. Also, I have some punched out love hearts, and I got a little punch. This one I got in Sustrine Green. We have one here in my local city. And what I've done is, any scraps of paper that have been left over from making my shaker, I have use this to punch out, because I hate throwing paper away, guys. I don't know about you, I hate it. And so every little bit, like literally, this is a piece out of my bin where I've die cut out the inner shaker. And as you can see, I've taken my punch to every place possible and punched out little hearts. And I have little bowls here, look, from all the different ones that I've done. I've them punched out in all different shapes. I have a little balloon shape as well, and I have them all there and ready to go. So, if you have your card and you use your die to cut out your shape, you will need a couple of them. So I have everything here ready to go, so I thought what I'd do is show you what I've cut out. We can stick it together, put on the bits and pieces together, and away we go. And I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get to this point, but so I have my, let's see, I have my layers. So this is my shaker layer. I have die cut out a frame, and I've done two. So I have one here and one on the outside on my acetate, and I've cut that to size. So when you're cutting out your card, you will also need to die cut out your acetate. You will need to die cut out your large circle to go over your card, and you will also need to die cut out a piece to go inside your card as well, and that'll go in here. And then the piece that goes on here, you'll need a piece of white paper, and I went down 2 dies less in order to get this piece, and that'll go in there. Now you can see on my card that I've actually cut the bottom off here, and the reason I've done that is so that when it's put to stand, it will actually sit and stand for you. Now I need to change the actual plates on my Gemini for die cutting, but yeah, so I put it through the whole lot with just the plates, thinking, you know what, if I put it all through, it will flatten the whole lot out, and it would have done if I hadn't included the acetate piece. It actually pressed into it, it's like it's given it an embossed. Anyway, so we then, whatever size you cut out for your inner frame, you'll need to cut out another piece for in here, so when the two go over like that and they sit on, you'll have 2 different ones. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've just taken this piece of paper here and I have stuck that onto the inside, so it'll actually sit this way on my card, and that way the fairies will be the right way up. So let's go ahead and put this all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all move these 2 for last, and this is my card piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this piece onto that, and I'm just going to use my runner. Now you can use wet glue if you want. I just use my runner most of the time. I find this one is very good. But I do find that I'll use a lot. I see some of the Stampin' Up! Guys, and I don't know whether it's because product is so dear. Being in Ireland, we can't get Stampin' Up! Over here. It's not licensed. But I see them putting tape on, and they're what we call here stingy with their tape. So making sure the piece I've cut is at the bottom, and I'm going to use my lines here on my grid to line it up, and I'm going to try not to get my head in the way, so apologies if I do. And we're just going to stick that on. Now I'm going to see if I can get this straight, because the likelihood is I won't. That's good enough. It's lovely. That'll do. Okay, and we'll add a bit of pressure. I find with these tape runners, especially the dots, you need to put pressure on to make sure that it actually adheres. Now, I love using liquid glue. It's great. You've got a bit of room to shift around. And I have the Nuvo glue here, works a treat. But sometimes I just like to use my tape runner. So that's on there now, and that's perfect. And the next thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my my tape onto my acetate. Then what I'm going to have to do is put my sequins on. Now a lot of the time you see them, and what people will do is they put the sequins on here and put the card on over. I don't like doing that. I just prefer to bring the acetate to the paper, and that's the way I'm going to do it, but you can do it whatever way suits you. So I have a lovely long thin strip here. I'm going to pop that in. I'm going to take the back off, and let's see if we can get this here. And we just take off the top release paper and press it down as we go along, and that'll go on there like that. Now as you can see here, I'm not going to make it the whole way around, but I'm not going to worry about that because we can just join them up and that'll be perfect. And we have another piece here. And we can join that up. Now you want to make sure that you really do butt your tape right up against the other one, because if you don't, you'll have a gap. And any kind of gap, it's fine if you have a big sequin, but if you have teeny tiny stuff, it will definitely slip out. So make sure you don't have any gaps, guys. Hopefully you're seeing this all right. Maybe I should actually zoom in. I'm just afraid if I go and change the orientation. I use my phone. I have an S8 Plus. And that's what I use for doing my recording and my editing. And editing is fun as a newbie that is making videos, I have to say. Now when you're cutting off here, guys, you want to get right up, and I find sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually cut it at an angle, and that way it'll just sit in there nicely. And so there we go. Can you see there? And again, there we go. So it looks like it's overlapping a tiny little bit here, but the thing is, once that's pressed down on my card, that'll be sealed in nicely. So now what we need to do is we need to do the next one. So I'm going to take off this piece here, the bottom piece, and we shall start doing our inside. And we'll just take our time, curving it around, taking off the top of the release paper and going around as we go. Just be careful it doesn't stick to your other foam tape. And sure, if it does, just gently take it off. We're making a card here, not something that someone's life depends on, so we won't panic. Now I've come to the end. I'm going to again cut that and do it at an angle, and that way it'll just sit in there nicely right on top. Now I think that looks all right. It looks good on this side. So now the next important thing is with your tool here for removing the static. We use this for embossing, but it's so important to actually use this just around the edges, because what will happen is you'll have all your sequins will get stuck to it. So we'll just dust along here, dust along, and we'll get that done in there. And I could forward, you know, fast forward this bit like what you see the others do, but I figure if you want to watch me doing this, sure, you might as well see the whole thing. So we're ready to go now. We've got our acetate here and we have our card here. And what I'm going to do is put my sequins on the paper. So very carefully, I'm going to put some of these hearts in here. And these are ashtrays. That's what these are, little plastic ashtrays that I picked up in my local deals. and I think I got 6 of these for €1.50, and they're great for just holding bits and bobs that I want to use. Now I'm also going to put a couple of my different love hearts in here, but I'm going to make sure that they're turned up the right way because I don't want them the wrong way round, otherwise they'll never flip over. So this is a little bit time consuming, but I don't mind in the least. Sure, isn't that what it's all about? Taking the time. My hubby is downstairs watching The Walking Dead, and I would rather be up here doing this. The dogs are down there keeping him company. Right, so we've that done. I have my little bit of sequins for the inside, and then I have my little bit of sequins for the outside, and these are the fairies. And I'm going to put some of them along here. Now I know it kind of looks silly that I'm here putting 1 or 2 of these at a time, but I want to make sure they go all the way around, and that way when I put my acetate down with the tape, it won't stick to them. I'm sure there'll be a couple that'll get stuck anyway because that's Murphy's Law. But sure, yeah, we're nearly done. There we go. Now, and the next thing that I have is some of my unicorns, and I have the pink ones and the iridescent ones, and I'm going to mix them up, and I'm going to put a couple of them in here, and I'm going to put a couple of them around with the fairies as well. Fairies and unicorns, huh? So that's grand now, hopefully. So I'm just going to bring my acetate up and have a look to see how it looks. And yeah, that looks good to me. If I plonk that down, it'll be fine. Just got one little unicorn there. And the great thing about having the different paper here is I can make sure there's nothing on it, because that's where I'm going to down this. So I'm going to stand up, guys, and have a look over and just make sure that looks good there, doesn't it? Now, as long as we don't stick it down, press it down, we can just make sure it's, yeah, that feels about right. So I'm going in, that's it. Now I'm committed. I'm going to press down and press this one down. And there we go. So the next thing we want to do is do the inside. Now I am going to put this one down first, and we'll use some of our tape. Lovely iridescent shine on the back of that, and we'll pop that over there. Just line that up. Perfect. Well, good enough. And next we want, now make sure this is the right way around. Tape on there. I have to say I love making shaker cards, but I did not enjoy making this shaker card. I think once you go above the 6x6 card, it's harder, you know, it's harder to get the precision, I think. Well, for me anyway, I found it a little bit more difficult. But I mean, they do look lovely, so, you know, so there we go with that. Now, I think what I'll put is the on your day on the inside here, and then put the happy birthday on the outside here. So I'm going to use my Nuvo glue for that, and that will save me actually having to stamp a sentiment on there. So I'm just going to put a few dabs of glue all around and just see how we get on. A couple of different places there. I don't think we need to go too over the top. I'm just going to hold on to it here like this. Yeah, I think that's enough. Just make sure we can clip all the little, anything on an edge, you know, like that there. We don't want anything lifting up. Yeah, that should be perfect. Yeah. So let's see, we'll make sure it's the right way up for starters, and we'll make sure that it's on here straight. So I think around there should be centered enough. What do you think? A little bit to the right, just there. I'm going to press that down. Great thing about that Nuvo glue is when it dries matte and it doesn't leave any sticky residue. So that's lovely there. And then what we'll do is we'll put our happy birthday on here. So now you can cut and see how we get on. And if I can lift this up, I can. So we need to put this down the right way. Oh shit, if I do that. So now we have that like that, this like this. So now we want to embellish it, and we shall take our happy birthday, put them down there like that, this one like that. So we'll put some glue on that, guys. Hold that there. Yeah, that's stuck down now. So, right, the next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of embellishing, and I thought I might put that there like that. Put a bit of glue on that. Now I have a nice big block, and I think I'll stick that down there, and that will keep it in place for a little bit and allow it to dry. I'm going to take my little fairy here, and I'll just pop a bit of glue on her, and then we'll decide where we're putting her. A little bit on her toes. suppose I really should fast forward through this bit. Now, where do we want to put this? Maybe just there. What do you think, guys? Yeah. Pop her down there. And her little butterfly. And this is on a piece of foam tape, so we can just, and it's never easy getting the release off these little bits. We shall pop that there like that. Give that a shake. Now we have some butterflies here. I thought I might put some of the flowers around here like this. Now, in order to do them, I'm going to use my hot glue because, and I'm going to pop that, plug that in, just there. I should have done that earlier, guys, sorry. Yeah, in order to put on something like that, I'm not going to, and I'm sure you can use the Nouveau glue, but I just like to be sure. So I use my hot glue, and that'll just take a minute to heat up. So maybe we might put those 3 along there, and then we can, I've got little sticky back tabs on these. We can put them on, and this little butterfly, I've put 3 layers in this. There you go, you can see. So there's 2 white layers, and then this kind of antique gold, and this we can will I use the Nouveau? Yeah, I will. I'll use the Nouveau, which should be grand on the acetate. It just takes a little bit longer to dry, I think, when you use wet glue on acetate. And we might stick this here. Tape on the back. So this card going in an envelope will post, but it may very well take, you'd have to put an extra bit of postage on this, I think. But I've put post through here in Ireland. I think I'm going to put this inside. I think it'd be nice. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Just stick that on. Yeah, I've posted envelopes with these little flowers stuck on them, and the Irish Post hasn't charged me anything extra. I think in America you get charged extra, but here we don't. So I might put... Right, so we'll add our hot glue to our flowers, and we'll do the little swirlies. And this one. Oh, we have a string. Homemade flowers, we'll just pop them in there. And this one, all sticky from the glue gun. Might just stick that one in here. And we just do 5 of these because that seems to be the magic number, everything in odds. So there's 2, so we have the 5 here, and I'm going to pop these just over here by our fairy. another butterfly, do I? And I've put loads of little bits of foam tape on the back of this. So do we? I think there's enough in that, guys. What do you think? I think there's, oh, sure, look, that one wasn't stuck on. We'll give it another bit. The joys of crafting at home. Yeah, I think I need to get a new glue stick and pop that in. Just press that down. Now, put that back over there. So let's see, how are we doing here? I think all our bits and pieces are shaking. Can you see there? Now we seem to have a bit of a clump here, so I'm going to very carefully, can I? Oh, should look, they're moving, yeah. So we have all our fairies in there. So that's it, guys. I'll bring it up a bit closer so you can see. This is our shaker card. It's a real fairyland shaker card, and inside we have on your day and then your happy birthday. So my lighting isn't great here. I hope you can see it okay, but I will post some pictures and yeah. So that's it, guys. That's our happy birthday large double shaker card. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. And if there's anything you want to know or any questions you have regarding products, just leave a question below in the comment section and I will get back to you. So that's it from me for now. Until next time, bye bye.